Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled Chulin Daf Yomi Tet Zayin. The Gemara's continuing discussion from Yud Dalet. It mentions the idea of doing Shechita on Shabbat. Then Tet Vav talks about doing other malachot on Shabbat. Can one benefit or not if someone does something wrong on Shabbat? It's called Maaseh Shabbat. And Tet Zayin continues different types of Shechita, and when they're legitimate, when they're not, and we're just going to continue our discussion on doing melacha on Shabbat. So we mentioned the first shiur, there is a kanas, a penalty from the rabbis, that you cannot benefit from melacha that was done on Shabbat. And there's a difference between shogeg and mazid. If it was done on mazid, on Shabbat, then the person can never benefit from that melacha. And let's say he went ahead, he built a table on Shabbat on purpose, knowing it's usher, he can never use that table. Others can use that table after Shabbat. Not too often a person's going to purposely do malacha on Shabbat and then really care about whether it's usher to use or not. But a more common case would be a shogeg. Someone did something wrong. He went ahead and did an isser, but it was b'shogeg. So let's say a person goes ahead and puts food in an oven to warm on Shabbat. Now in South Africa, there's something what they call the warming oven, and some permit that. And in South Africa, many have the minhag to do that. Let's say a person goes ahead and has a regular oven, not a warming oven, a regular oven. But he thinks that he doesn't put the oven on, he thinks that if it was put on before Shabbat, he could take a kugel out from the fridge and put it into the oven. And you go to the person's house to eat lunch, and you see him taking out food from the oven. Now, that's asur. It's asur to go ahead and put food in the oven on Shabbat. Even if it was cooked before and it's dry, so it's not a biblical violation, but rabbinically, it's known as mechzekim avashel, to put something in an oven. But he thought that it's all right. He said, I thought about it. He told me I can put it as long as it's cooked and it's dry. So that's a classic example of shogeg. Shogeg. He didn't know. So shogeg on a drabanan isser, because he didn't cook from the Torah, it was already cooked. There's drabanan isser of putting food into the oven on Shabbat because it looks like cooking. So that's known as an isser drabanan b'shogeg. And the halacha is, the Mishnah Berurah paskins, like the Gra, that in such a case, one can eat that on Shabbat because it was a shogeg on a drabanan. So once again, this is the category known as Maaseh Shabbat, prohibitions that are done on Shabbat, either intentionally or unintentionally, and we must understand whether it's mazid shogeg, intentional or unintentionally done, and whether it's from the Torah or from the rabbis. And if it's a shogeg drabanan, Mishnah Berurah is makel in such a case. Shalom.